The next step is to install what's either called the buffer tube or the receiver extension tube. In this case, I'm going to be using a fixed stock, not a collapsible stock, so my tube's a little different than the collapsible stock. Installation, though, is pretty similar. The difference is with the fixed stock, there is no separate end plate needed. The stock actually holds the pivot or the takedown pin and its spring and detent in place. If you're installing a collapsible stock, then you will have something that looks kind of like this. Some of them are just round. This one has attachment points for a sling. And notice that this has a small tab right here. That'll fit into a slot on the tube for the collapsible stock. That's what keeps it aligned in the receiver when it's tightened down. So I'll demonstrate using mine if I can. On a collapsible stock, there would be a castle nut that would go on, then the end plate, and then this would screw into the receiver. In my case, I only have the tube, so I will start that into the receiver. Notice that there's a hole in the receiver. That's where the buffer retention pin goes, and that's this piece. There's a spring and a little cap with a pin on it that goes into that hole in the receiver, and then holding that down as you screw in the receiver tube. And again, whether it's a collapsible stock or my fixed stock version, the same thing is going to happen. Eventually, when that gets screwed into the right point, it will hold that pin in place, still moves freely up and down, but it can't pop out. So for me, the tube's in place, that part's done. On the collapsible stock version, notice that on the end plate there's this little dent and a protrusion on the other side. The protrusion will go into this hole in the receiver, and that's what locks the end cap in place. So that's the only thing the only difference between the two kinds of tubes there really is. On mine, the stock will screw into the back here. And when I'm doing that, I'm also going to be putting in the rear takedown pin, its detent, and its spring. This is the stock that I'm going to be using. As with everything else, I tend to put a little grease on any place where there's metal on metal riding. So this detent pin is going to ride in the slot of the rear takedown pin, like that. So takedown pin goes in from the right side. In this case, the detent goes in first, because that's what actually comes up and contacts it. Then the spring. And in my case, when I screw the stock on, oops, mine has a little extender on it. I want you to see how this is going in. That spring is in there, and as I bring the stock down, it compresses that spring. Once it's there, hold it there. And what I'm doing out of frame up here is putting the screw into the stock that will hold the stock in place. So at this point, what I did was simply screwed that screw in, which holds the stock to the tube. The tube holds into the receiver, and the stock is holding that spring and detent in. I'm going to give this a little snug, not much. Good enough. So now, that rear takedown pin, if it didn't go in with that slot in exactly the right orientation toward the back, you may have to rotate it a little bit to get that detent to drop into the slot. Once you do, it's captured. It cannot come out. Unlike the front pivot pin where there was a hole that you could use to release it, if you need to take out the rear pivot pin, you do have to take the stock off.